Language learning is serious work. It's going to open so many doors for you. It's going to develop your brain in so many good ways, but it is at the same time serious work.
Welcome back to Dear Workplace. I'm very excited today to have Hyunwoo Sun, and we're going to dive into all about Korean language because, hey, if you do want to learn about a new culture, you might want to learn about how to speak the language. And Hyunwoo has been thinking very much about it in the space in multiple languages, but especially Korean as we dive in. So, Hyunwoo, welcome to the show. First, I am very curious. How in the world did you get passionate about language studies and linguistic as a career in the first place?
First of all, hello and 안녕하세요 to everyone. I was born and raised in Korea in this city. It's not a small city. It has over 1 million people living in it currently, but I was born in the city of Gwangju. And the first time I saw the dots before I started connecting them was when I saw that my speaking or spoken Korean, my speaking style, which turned out to be my local dialect, and the way people spoke on TV were a little bit different. So that's when I first saw the dots, right? So I wanted to connect them. So I was, I think, around 10 years old when I realized this. And also, I realized that my relatives who were living in Busan, they all also spoke a different kind of dialect, which was the Busan dialect. I was toying with the idea of connecting these three dots as a 10-year-old in Korea. By 11 or 12 years of age, I was speaking fluently between the Gwangju dialect and the Busan dialect, which can be a little bit different. So that was that. And then when I came up to Seoul, moved up to Seoul to attend college, Korea University, I was actually able to interact with the native speaker, so to speak, of the Seoul dialect. And yeah, that's when I saw the beauty and the joy of actually switching, language switching within the Korean. Also, by coincidence, I got some interest. I found some interest in English as a high schooler because high school life was really stressful and I wanted an outlet or some ways to vent my stress on something else. So I started studying English and I found it to be really interesting and fun. And I saw some progress. So I studied really hard. So yeah, that's the beginning of all my interests in terms of languages.
Since then, I know you have launched, continue to build and create many different ways how people can learn Korean. And one of the things I also appreciate is how you've continued to, as you've in your personal mantra of like being an early adopter, of finding new ways how language learning can be done. I'm curious, taking a quick scan back since then in the past 10, 15 years of building Talk to Me in Korean and making Korean language more fun and accessible. What are perhaps like those challenges and barriers that you've had to go through as you continue to venture out new ways of teaching and helping people learn Korean?
This has been a challenge, but at the same time, a blessing because I've always been a bridge between two worlds as a local native Korean person who grew up to eventually speak English without living overseas. And then whenever I said something in English in public or whenever I was having a conversation with somebody in English, everybody assumed that I was a Kyopo, I was a Korean American or something. That was a challenge, but also an opportunity for me to present myself. First, I won this national contest for high school students for their English skills, and I happened to win the first place. So that got out in some news articles, and then the publishing companies like saw that news article, and some of them suggested that I published a book. So I became immediately an official bridge between Korean people who didn't speak English and the rest of the world, right? So that was my beginning as a bridge. And then that continued on when I started Talk to Me in Korean, because I was also a bridge between when you look at the academia, like all the professors who have studied for a really long time to become a professor, they have their knowledge and they have their experience. And I was somebody who didn't even major in Korean language education, who didn't even have this official license to teach the Korean language who just started this podcast on my own, this YouTube channel on my own, and we now have 1.7 million YouTube subscribers.